are in, say, the Raleigh area and the Charlotte area, and then you're also maybe in, Florida, and you're licensed in multiple states, having it to where it is very hyper localized, I think is a very powerful approach, instead of just having it to where it's just the mass, we're in the mortgage industry, but making it more to where it's actually about them. I love it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Mortgage Influencers, where we bring you professionals who share insight into the latest trends, tips, industry technology, and services to help you be a mortgage influencer in your mortgage business.
Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of Mortgage Influencers. My name is Ginger Bell. I have Scott Schang and Steve Richmond. Hello, boys.
Hello. Good afternoon, morning, wherever you happen to be.
Yeah, and we have a special guest. I'm excited to have her share her expertise with us today, and that is Jennifer Swanson with Mortgage Pro Resources. So, Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody.
Okay, so Jennifer and I met for the first time about a month ago, and they had reached out and wanted to have our podcast, Mortgage Influencers, on their webpage. And so thank you very much for that and getting the word out.
Yes.
Because that's the whole reason we started this and continue it every single week, is to have conversations about how to be an influencer in your space. And so we talked about some of the services that you offer at Mortgage Pro Resources. And I said, you know what? You need to be on our podcast because people need to know about you and all that you do. So, so I'm going to hop right in. And if you can give us an idea as far as the services that you do offer at Mortgage Pro Resources, and then we'll kind of dig in deeper from there.
Sure. So a couple of the things that we offer, we have a list of contacts that people can purchase. Normally it's used for email marketing, sometimes phone marketing, but our lists are things like loan officers, real estate agents, insurance agents, wealth advisors, accountants, attorneys, pretty much anybody who's in the real estate world that a loan officer or a real estate agent would want to contact. So that's how we developed our list. A couple of the other services that we offer, if you don't want to send the emails, we'll do it for you. So,
nice.
Including a full creative package. So we'll help you create the newsletter. I am not a graphic designer, so that doesn't come with the option, but I will create a very pretty email for you.
Nice.
And, yes. And the third thing that we just rolled out is our localized networking newsletter. So what that does is we have clients who pick a specific region, whether it be the Houston market, or they want to do the Northeast, or they want to do one particular state. And then they pick the professionals that they want to contact in amongst the 14 lists that we have available. And then I help them create the newsletter. And then we send out the newsletters for them twice a month. And that's at a lowball price of a minimum of $250. So
wow.
so they get to reach 25,000 contacts twice a month for $250. So, and that's one of the things I talk about with my clients is there's two things that I know are really important for marketing and lead gen. The first one is consistency. You need to do it all the time, and you need to be consistent with it. The second one is diversity. You can't just market to the same people with the same message all the time. You have to reach out to new types of clients, new types of resources, but keep consistent with it. Those are the best two things that I talk about.
So you say those two things. It's really interesting because in my view of the mortgage world, there's a thing that comes before that we all have and we forget about. It's creating the network in the first place.
Yes.
Right? It's about establishing those 25,000 people or getting that group together of where you're going to go. And if I pound the drum over and over and over about how important it is to have your network. But once you have your network, what are you doing with your network and how are you continuing to add value to those people? And that's exactly what you're talking about there, Jennifer, I think, if I'm mistaken.
Yep. For the newsletters, we can continue to market to your current clients, your current referrals, as well as your current network. And then we just expand on that.
Right.
So what's great is that we take what you already have and just make it bigger so that you don't have to go work and get those 25,000. You might have 2,000. Great. We're going to fill in the other 23,000 for you.
Jennifer, you said you're not a graphics designer, so your clients, the loan officers or whatever, they're sending you the newsletter. So they're creating the newsletter and sending it to you?
So no, I create the newsletter. What I mean by graphic designers, I'm not going to help you create your logo. I'm not going to create
Got it.
any like pretty swirly graphic. I'm going to pull it off, some free web form somewhere where I can get that. But I'll work with their colors, their logo. All of our newsletters are customized. So if they want it to say X and Y, but somebody else wants it to say A and B, that's perfectly fine. I work
And
with
you're
each
curating part of the content and then they put their own personalized content in there so that they have a full product. That's really cool.
Yeah. So, and traditionally we'll add a local news article that's specific to their market.
Yep.
So that it's very specific to that region. So it could be Detroit. Let's talk about the Detroit housing market. Let's talk about, what's going on in the social world of Detroit that people might get involved in, or maybe a charity organization that they might want to be involved in as well.
What I love what you're talking about also, Jennifer, once again, my opinion is we all get so wrapped up within our own network and who we already know and the people that we're dealing with on a basis, but there's a whole big, beautiful world out there. And you think, oh, well, I'm in the middle of Raleigh. Everybody knows me. Nobody knows me, right? I mean, you all this opportunity that's sitting out there and you're exposing that opportunity with those lists. I think that's a neat thing to do.
Well, and combining it in with something you're already doing. So having it to where it's not just the one, this is what I'm doing, so I'm sticking with. But, we had Wally on last week and he talked about having the referral network of insurance agents, of your financial planners. And so when you think about creating a strategy to where you are gearing a newsletter out that goes just to your financial planners and having the content for that, and then pulling in, because we have a lot of clients that we do podcasts and videos for, so dropping those in there as well, and then putting in the localization is it. It's funny, I was in a little town called Roseburg, Oregon. I live in Oregon, and we went there a couple of weeks for a car show, and the hotel that we stayed at had a local newspaper. And, newspapers went away a long time ago, and now we're starting to see them come back. And what's interesting, the newspaper actually had a TV guide, and I kept it because it's like, how long has it been since you've seen a TV guide? But it was local. So, those are the things, having that to where you are taking the old school of sending out the email newsletter. And newsletters, by the way, are making a comeback and people are looking for that. What you put in it is important, having it localized. So, if you are in, say, the Raleigh area and the Charlotte area, and then you're also maybe in, Florida, and you're licensed in multiple states, having it to where it is very hyper localized, I think is a very powerful approach, instead of just having it to where it's just the mass, we're in the mortgage industry, but making it more to where it's actually about them. I love it.
Jennifer,
Yeah.
is it a static letter or is it like an HTML format? Like, can they send you a video and their video, they can put their video in there as well?
Yep, it's an HTML email, so they can put in a screenshot of their podcast. They can put in a link to a video. They can put a GIF in there if they want to, or a GIF, technically, I guess.
I'm never sure how to pronounce that.
Is it GIF? Is it GIF?
So, yeah, my husband would get upset if I called it a GIF because it's actually a GIF. But it's definitely, when I talk to people about the newsletter, it's interesting what they want to include. Some people want to include like okay, in Raleigh, we have X number of new homes available. They want to put that in. They want to put in something to the effect of, this is a win that I had. This is a client success story. So
Yeah.
it can be as specific or as general as they want. I do my best to make it as unique and reflective of their personality, of what they want to say, as well as the people that it's going to.
But you say you try and make it unique to the person who's giving you the information.
Yes.
I missed our little intro. You guys were chatting before I got on the line. I apologize. I was elsewhere.
Mhm.
So who are you? Tell me a little bit about your background. Where do you come from that you're like, I got all this cool stuff?
So, well, my background's kind of weird. I know we all come at where we are currently from a various different directions, but I actually have a master's degree in comparative history. And then I worked in banking and finance for 12 years. So
Wow.
my father worked in mortgages starting in 84, 85. And he started Mortgage Pro Resources and our sister company in 2016. So I started working for him in 2019, but having been in banking, finance, and that realm, I understand this background, but I was in sales for, gosh, that's a long, long time. If anybody knows, banking is sales. So I've been in sales in one way or another since I was 16. So knowing that your sales pitch and how you present yourself and who the relationships that you develop, we all know people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So to develop those types of relationships are really key. So by taking the technology that we have available now, the context that we've created and cultivated over the many years that we've been in business, we're able to help clients develop those networks and embellish on what successes and what skills they already have, without really having to do too much labor on their end. We all know we're all busy, so I do most of the work. You just give me a little bit of information about what you do, and then I ask you questions, and we go from there.
I love its comparative history because everybody's always trying to compare today to 2008. And we can do a comparison in that history, or where rates are today versus where they were 3 years ago. We can do that comparative history. Look,
Or
you
in the
can
mid
draw that
80s
in.
when her dad was in the market.
Right.
Yes. Okay. So you're at 14%. Fabulous.
Where it was when I started in the business, I'll tell you that.
So it's, you work with what you have, and you make the best out of what connections that you have and the referral that you cultivate. So is it a difficult market? Of course. I'm not going to
Sugarcoat it.
Yeah,
right. I'm not going to blow smoke and say it's not.
it is what it is. Yeah.
But that's why diversity is important. It's just like in a stock portfolio. You don't put all eggs in one basket. So when you expand the type of people that you're talking to, and you just don't go back to your 5 or 6 good referral sources, you need 30 to 40. So you need to diversify with who you're talking to, how you're talking to them, and you need to be consistent with how often you reach out.
Jennifer, I have a question. So if somebody's, kind of like creating content and being an influencer, everybody knows they should be sending out newsletters. Have you seen any kind of patterns with, like, when you send the first newsletter to a cold audience, we'll call it, like, do you see any sort of trends that you can share? Like, after X number of newsletters, you start to kind of establish this reader base. And have you seen any sort of trends like that you can share that would kind of encourage people to just get started with this thing? Because it's not a stick in a quarter and get out a gumball kind of thing, right? It's a relationship building strategy.
Correct.
We're going back to comparative history. A quarter for a gumball? Come on, man. It should be a
I
penny
haven't bought a
for
gumball in a while, Steve.
I don't know that there's a survey. We need to find out. Can you still get a gumball for a quarter?
A loaf of bread's still 5 cents, right?
Right, right.
I'm going on a search. I'm gonna see if I can find one for you, Steve.
Well, I think that as far as trends go, you really need to do it for at least 3 months to see
Okay.
a really you're going to start to see what we call, you have the initial peak where, okay, people, this is new, this is exciting, this is interesting. Then you have a drop. People freak out during that drop and they're like, oh, it's not working. Well, no, it's just, it's not new anymore. So it's like that new shiny penny or that new toy that you got your 5-year-old that they play with for 2 weeks. Then they chuck it to the side. So what you have to do is you have to ride out that down, and what it'll do is it'll kind of plateau, and then you'll gain more viewers, more readers, and then it'll continue to go up. So you're going to see a peak, then you're going to see a downslip, and then you're going to see an up, and then kind of a plateau.
Oh,
For
that's
those
so
of you that are
important to
interested-
understand.
For those of you interested in business science, that is called the Hawthorne effect.
Oh,
That's what it was. It was studied way back in the day of when it's
Yeah.
new, everybody pays attention to it, and then they stop paying attention to it. And it doesn't matter what it was at the beginning, but then if it was good at the beginning, it won't be as big of a drop as
Right.
if it wasn't good, because everybody's going to do it different at the beginning. Hawthorne effect, just so whatever, I throw it out there.
But then that plateau are kind of the people that know, like, and trust you. Those are your consistent readers that now they can expect. And how often is this once a month or is this once every 2 weeks? What kind of cadence do you recommend?
So I would do it at least once every other week. And the
Okay.
reason I say that is because once a month, you're not getting enough of your brand recognition and your name recognition in front of people. You're going to want to do it at least twice a month. Some people do it weekly. It just really depends on their time commitment and how much they want to contact people. But at minimum twice a month, whether that be the first and the third week or every other week, however you want to do it. But you need to hit them at least twice a month. And
Is there a best day of the week?
there used to be, but because everybody has phones and you're in front of your computer all the time and you're accessible, what seems like 24/7, not so much. I wouldn't send it on a Friday. That's just my personal thought. I would send it probably, Monday through Thursday. And again, there's really not a good specific time. There used to be like, okay, Tuesday between 1 and 4. But because everybody has their phones and they might be scrolling through their phone on a Saturday and, say, oh, look, there's something that I want to look at. So I wouldn't send it at noon, everybody at lunch, but there's really no hard and fast rule. What I like to say, it's like a science experiment. You try it here for a little bit, and then if that doesn't work, okay, then you tweak it a little bit. Maybe you send it earlier in the day, or maybe you send it later in the day, and you'll find that sweet spot. You also have to remember that people might click on it. You might send it on a Monday, and they might click on it on a Wednesday. So just know there's going to be that lag.
When people can put them away, like I send out 2 emails a week, and we actually do on Friday, and it's our mortgage influencer that goes out, and we do a highlight, and then we send on Wednesday. And we started doing it twice a week because it's different information.
Right.
And so depending on what you're doing, and you always know a newsletter's working when you get an email from someone that says, hey, I just switched companies. Can you please add my new email to the list? Oh, and by the way, I just hired these people. Can you add them to the list? That's how you know the information you're putting out there is valuable. So I think it's not just a matter of just saying, okay, I've checked that box, and so I've got the newsletter done, but really putting some thought into it. What do people want to know? What are they going to click on? There are emails. I subscribe to an email that's called the Daily Brew, and they send out an email Monday through Thursday, I think, or maybe daily. I don't know about Saturday. I need to check, but it's every day, and it's highlights. And it's random stuff. Some of it's, stories, some of it's best practices. But the way that they design it is such that it's very easy to read. So I think that is the thing when you're putting your content together, is make sure it's easily digestible. So not real long stories. When you're doing it, and you probably do this, Jennifer, there's, use emojis, put bold letters in it. Those kind of things are important. I have a new newsletter that we're sending out for the industry that will be weekly. And so it's a project I'm working on. But one of the things we were looking at as far as statistics for email, and interestingly enough, Saturday is the most open rate in terms of email, which most of us don't think about sending an email out on Saturday. But it is not the number one buy day. It is the most read day, but so if you're putting out something that you want people to buy, don't send it out on Saturday. If you're putting out information and you want them to read it, then put it out on Saturday, and especially if you're, in the market as far as, hey, here's some events that are going on in Raleigh, North Carolina this weekend. Think about that value as far as what people are going to want. And you also know a newsletter is working. I just was in San Francisco speaking at a conference, and I had someone come up to me and say, I have a Ginger folder, and all of your newsletters go into the Ginger folder, and I may not be able to read them right away, but I save them and go back to them. And so those are things, if you are giving value, if you are giving information that's useful to them, not just checking the box, then it is something that is read. I recommend doing weekly, just because it's kind of like church. What's the name of that church that meets every other Sunday?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like having that consistency builds that cadence. And so I think that part of it is important. People are afraid. I said too much. It's like, yeah, you'll figure out if it's too much. If it's valuable information, it's not too much. But that's one of the things, you have to feel comfortable in coming up with the content. But my gosh, Scott, how much are you talking about ChatGPT? There's ways you can get ideas for content, right?
Yeah, and you know what, and you brought up another point that I think it's important for people to understand is this type of marketing, there's not a real strong feedback loop. You're not going to get the
likes,
endorphins, you're not going to get the likes and the shares. But if one person reaches out to you and like I don't know if anybody ever watches my stuff, but I'll go to a mortgage conference and I'll have 5 people come up and say, I watch every single video. And I'm like, cool, could you let me know every once in a while? So I don't think I'm just doing it into the void. But if one person responds to you, statistically speaking, that person represents an exponentially larger audience of people that are consuming your content. And you have to just have that mindset that this is top of mind stuff, and you can be bringing value, and most people aren't going to reply to it, but it doesn't mean that it's not working. It's you kind of just have to trust the system on this stuff, because I can tell you, it's an incredible way to build an audience. It's an incredible way to build trust over time. And then when they do need something, that's when you hear from them. But if you didn't do it, you wouldn't know that they need you. So like, it's important to have that mindset. And I'm sure, Jennifer, you have this conversation all the time with your clients that come on, and 30 days later, they're like, oh, I'm not getting anything out of this. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, no, let me tell you how it works.
Yep. And that's a constant conversation. It's,
Yep.
We can make some tweaks, but I'm telling you, you have to just keep going. This is an investment in your business. This is
Yep.
something that takes time.
Yeah.
And it's not something that, like you said, put a quarter in an Aldi cart and I'm going to get that out. Now I know that's a quarter for sure, because I just went to Aldi the other day. But so you put a quarter to get your Aldi cart, your shopping cart, and okay, great, you now have a shopping cart. It's not a transactional marketing. It's
Right.
building your network. It's creating that know, like, and trust, the name familiarity.
It's a broadcast communication channel. It's a broadcast communication channel. There isn't a two-way conversation. And people say, well, I just do social. The answer isn't or, the answer is and, right? It's always and. If anybody says, should I do this or this? And it's like, it's always and. If you have to ask, it's and. Do them both.
The other thing that's important, I was just at a conference in San Francisco, and Brian Stevens was sharing some information of a recent survey, and I don't remember who it was from, about how people find their loan originator. And interestingly enough, only 3% was on social media, but we put so much focus on social media. The other, the between their friends and family and the real estate agent was the highest. And I can't remember, I could do a Mark Madsen and make up a statistic. I think it was probably around 63% through their real estate agent. And then the other was friends and family. So, when you're thinking about a marketing strategy, to be able to say, okay, if such a high percentage is coming from real estate agents, you want to expand your network to these real estate agents. So send a newsletter that's going to be valuable information for them, not only to use, but to share with their network. Because if you think about just the whole strategy of this, I'm going to put together a newsletter. It's going to go to real estate agents. I'm going to give them information that's going to be valuable to them. So I'm going to give them tips on how to be better at what they're doing, whether it's a strategy as far as, making sales calls or finding, new listings. Give them some tips on that. And then also share information that they can go and share with their community as well, as far as, buying a new home tips, sellers tips. Here's what's happening in your industry. So you need to think in terms of who is your audience, and speak to them specifically, just like we do when we're doing a video, but the same with the newsletter. And so when you get into that hypersensitive content that's going to be valuable to them, then they're going to share it with other real estate agents. And make sure you put that call to action at the end. I think people are always so afraid in marketing. It's like, I don't want to be too pushy.
Oh, drives me insane when people don't put a clear call to action.
Yeah, put a call to action, and at the end, let them know, hey, if you or anybody is looking to buy or sell, please, contact me. I can help them. And then the other thing in the newsletter, and I'm sure you do this, is make it easy for them to subscribe if you're doing a subscription-based newsletter, and then make it easy for them to share. And so those are the things when you're looking at putting together an email strategy, to be able to put that in there. I love the whole newsletter thing. We've gotten into doing, we're producing so many podcasts for people now that is a great strategy to be able to say, hey, if you're doing a weekly podcast, you need to also be putting that into a weekly email.
Yeah. And it's a great way to grow your viewership for your podcast, and also, it's like double dipping. Who doesn't love the double dip?
And reuse the content. Take a snippet from a GIF or a GIF from your podcast, and you go slap it into your newsletter.
Right. Yeah. And it's one of those things that when you're talking about a call to action, other thing is make sure there's multiple ways for them to contact you. Some people don't want to talk on the phone. Other people will not send an email. They want to talk to a human being. So whether it be a landing page on your website, whether it be an email, whether it be a phone number, make sure there's multiple ways for them to contact you, because otherwise you're going to leave off part of your network that really doesn't like clicking on links in an email. They'd rather phone call you or text you. We all know how popular sending a text is. So you can just say, hey, shoot me a text. I'm happy to chat. or your Calendly link, or where you want to.
Calendars.
There's so many ways people can contact you. Give them all those options. Your
Yeah.
social media, your podcast links.
And
Put
you
it
can
on-
put it into a link tree, so it makes it simple. Like
Mhm.
I put all of my contacts into a link tree, so everything is meetgingerbell.com. And
Yep.
so they can go right there, put that onto your social media and to do all of that. So we're at the top of the hour and we could honestly go on for another 30 minutes. It goes by fast, right?
That's
But
the
I
better.
do want to make sure that you get your information out there, Jennifer, so people can contact you guys. $250 a month for 2 newsletters, 25,000. And then getting into all of those different markets that you want to get into, whether it's real estate agents, financial planners, insurance agents. Did I hear that? Okay.
Yep. Insurance agents, accountants, attorneys. Yes.
I love it. So how can they find you?
So a couple different ways. You can email me directly at info@mortgageproresources.com. That gets forwarded directly to me. You can go on our website, mortgageproresources.com, and you can there's a networking tab. You can fill out exactly what you're looking for. So we have a form. I want this state. I want to pick these specific professionals, and I want to send to 50,000 emails. So they can pick their range of how many people that they want to contact, depending upon their budget. So it gives them a lot of different options. The other thing is you can call or text me directly at 260-223-9203. That's my cell. And if I don't answer, leave a voicemail or shoot me a text.
Just don't text at 2 a.m.
No, I'm Eastern time. Eastern time. So yeah, I have California clients that text me at 9 p.m. Hey, are you still in your office? No, I'm like going to bed. Office.
But having those different resources obviously are available. And I can tell you guys, probably the biggest list that you have in the industry. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know as far as, leads, and not just so if you are, and we do have wholesale lenders that listen to this as well, you do have lists for account executives as
Correct.
well. And then also for loan officers. So if you are a branch manager and you're recruiting, this is another good thing to add, to be able to start a newsletter to where you're talking about what LO's helping them. Same way that you're going to talk to your real estate agents, start an LO newsletter. So those things are important. Jennifer, thank you so much. I loved having you on. We will have you back again, my friend.
Oh, I'm excited. Yeah, that was very fun. Thank you so much.
Told ya.
Very good.
Yes. So, and great meeting you, Scott and Steve. I appreciate you welcoming me to the podcast. And Ginger, I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. So next week, guys, no guest next week. And Scott, I'm going to put you on the spot because we're going to talk about AI next week.
Excellent.
We have been
I'm
promising
good for that one.
Okay, sign up. Yeah, sign up for that one because we've been promising once a month, we're going to hop on and have conversations about AI. So that is going to be next week. So make sure and tune in next week. And of course, you can see all of our episodes at mortgageinfluencers.com or mortgageproresources.com because we are also there. So thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.